Welcome back to the Master's Apprentice. We are on part 2 of a conversation that we started about simplicity. So if you haven't watched our main video on that yet, you need to click here and go back to watch our video talking about the spiritual discipline, spiritual practice of simplicity, so you kind of know what we're talking about. So Dustin, how should we kick off part 2?
I think we should jump into the teaser joke that you had. I can't let them hang for too long.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, like you were saying, there's a uniqueness to everybody when it comes to simplicity. And I think that I kind of have, well, I didn't take into account certain things. So when I was first learning about simplicity, I was like, I mean, this is an awesome idea. Like, I want everything to be simple. And I'm a person in general that I hate like excessive stuff. Like, I can't hardly stand it. It's not that I don't have stuff. It's that I just don't have too much. I always feel like we have too much stuff. And when we moved to where we live now, we moved to a smaller house. And there was a sense there was larger houses that we could have moved into, but we didn't really care for any of them. Plus, in general, I liked the idea of us downsizing a bit. And so, anyway, so we got rid of a lot of stuff. But when we were, a while back when I was first learning this, I wanted our kitchen to be simpler in the sense of only having the dishes that we need. You already know, right? Like, you already know.
Was everybody on board with this?
Oh no, like this was just my stupid
Okay.
idea.
Okay.
Now, there can be legitimacy to this idea. But if you've never just had the exact amount of dishes that you need, unless you've lived that way, you don't know, and have a family, you don't know how quickly annoying that gets. Especially if you're in a very fast-paced home like we are. So I wanted, like, we're going to have the exact amount of cups that we need, the exact amount of plates that we need, the exact amount of silverware that we need, and we'll just always wash the dishes after every meal. Yeah. Well, it sounds great, doesn't it? Like, it sounds simple. Well, that quickly didn't work out. Like, so we still have a lot less of certain items that we used to have, but I oversimplified or over minimalized of thinking it was like, oh no, we actually need more plates than that. That's not going to work. Or like,
Sure.
and then, but this is the big one. All right. Cause I was the same with the silverware, man. Which is the biggest mistake, is the silverware. Okay, this is the biggest mistake on this journey. Besides of wanting to have like less items in the kitchen, that also count for silverware. And somewhere on the journey, we also, stuff happens. A kid throws away a spoon here and there on accident. Silverware breaks. Anyway. We like literally have the amount of spoons of the people that live in our house. Okay. We're always out of spoons. Like, we are always, at any point of any day, you open the drawer and there is no spoons. I can't even make this up. There's literally no spoons. It is the most frustrating thing. So, like I said, fast-paced household.
Yeah.
Dishes aren't always getting done when you think they would immediately. Whatever, just a lot of things going on. And so every time you need a spoon, basically you got to wash a spoon if you want a spoon. If you can find the dirty spoon, which that's a whole, because if there's only that many spoons and there's some dirty dishes, that's like, where are the spoons at? There's been days where there's none in the drawer, there's none on where the dishes are drying, there's none of it, and there's nothing in the dirt. Where are they? There's yeah, that's my joke.
I've got two pictures in my head I'm laughing over. One is you and your family sitting around the table with like yogurt, and everyone takes a turn with the spoon that you have.
Your turn.
This is the only clean one we've got. And then like you just starting out on this and like, we don't need this silverware. And then you're like calling people saying, hey, do you need 3 forks, 2 spoons, and a knife? I've got some for you.
And now multiple times I have been the idiot that's been like, why don't we have any spoons? And I just softball this right over to my wife, and she goes, because you only wanted the exact amount that we need. So now I'm looking for discount spoons.
That's great. That's great.
Oh, man.
Dude, I think I haven't done this, but I would love to get like, for some reason I've gotten into this deep dive on like a wooden bowl. Have you looked those up?
No.
Yeah, I've done a lot of looking into it and research, but all the stuff that you have to do. Once again, the timepiece of taking care of it and all of this.
Right.
But I think it'd be cool. Like the idea is cool. I really like the idea of having a bowl, a plate that's your plate, a mug. Like that's cool. But then there's like the reality of the situation versus the thought of like the simplistic life. Like those two don't sometimes go hand in hand.
You have no idea what just happened in my head. We have more coffee mugs than spoons. How does that make any sense?
You're over here stirring with forks.
I've done it. I have stirred stuff with forks and knives because I didn't have time to wash the spoons.
That's great.
We literally have, as we're talking about simplicity here, we literally have a shelf of coffee mugs drilled to the wall, and we still have coffee mugs in a cabinet and on another shelf.
That's great.
And so when we have people over to our house, and we say, hey, we have coffee if you'd like some, and I'd like some coffee. We say, which mug would you like?
It's like 30 mugs.
It's just. So I will say that we have tried to now use them practically, and especially if we have a group of people over, it's like, hey, everybody can have some coffee. And the good news is we will never run out of coffee mugs. If anybody wants we'll run out of coffee before we run out of coffee mugs. The problem is if you put creamer in your coffee, you won't have anything to stir it in with.
It's like fork? Oh, this is great. So, moral of the story, maybe take calculated steps in
Think
your
through the
simplicity.
ramifications. You think through and I'll say this: you'll make some mistakes. Like if you get passionate about the idea of simplicity, you might get over ambitious. And I don't want to discourage that as much as I'm just like, just think through the ramifications of it, though. Like, count the cost before you build the building. Okay, like,
right.
Figure out what that's going to look like first. Especially if you have a family, you're married, keep them in consideration too. They'll just feel like, oh no, we don't need that. It's fine. Like, listen to the feedback on that. Don't be like me.
We have 5 people. We need 5 spoons.
Exactly.
5 forks.
Exactly.
And we'll just wash it, which would get old too. But
I mean, it's interesting. I practiced an element of simplicity when it comes to possessions. Or not even possessions, sorry. I practiced this in college for like at least one semester, maybe the whole year. where having to pick an outfit for the day became a frustrating thing to me because I was so tired. So it was out of a necessity. It was like I'm working late, I'm studying late. I just got to get up, put on an outfit, and go to my class. So I literally gave away much of my wardrobe and sold a lot of my wardrobe to where all I had was 7 outfits. So every Sunday at church, I wore the same exact shirt and tie and everything. Yeah. Now, there's a practical problem with this. If literally all you have is 7 outfits, do you know what that is?
Laundry.
Laundry. I did the same. I didn't have a laundry outfit. And assuming that you're always going to have time in a busy life to always do laundry once a week at this exact time as a college student, and you don't even have hardly any time to sleep, it was very impractical. I needed to create a little more leeway. In general, there's nothing wrong with the idea. But that would be another way of practicing simplicity, is like eliminating how many clothes you have. Yeah. So when you get up, you just put on the outfit for that day. I'm definitely not practicing that now. I have more clothes than I could possibly need. But I try to keep that down. Like I try to, sure. Clothes wear out. I try not to, I need to replace that. Nope, I already got plenty. It's like, try to keep that simple. But anyway, I made it's the same spoon thing all over again. And something happens, you get sick and you couldn't do your laundry. So now you have no clean clothes for the week.
Yeah. That's great.
Anyway, so whether you're married or single, think through your current life situation, what your life like, and when you're making simplicity moves, they actually have to be beneficial to your task at hand and not make it more complicated. Yeah. So the point being is this: you could try to do something that's going to create simplicity and accidentally create chaos.
Right.
Which is the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Right. Which it goes back to what we were saying is if the goal is to get rid of stuff, it's like if you have 4 spoons and you're having to constantly do the dishes, like that's taking away the time that you could have used elsewhere, right? So there is a balance here on, what is the goal? And I think that's where I'd like to take this is we're going to give some practical things, but at the end of the day, this is your journey. Yes. And you're going to have to pray and ask God saying, how do I need to simplify life right now in order to keep the focus on you? Right. And is getting rid of all my silverware going to do that, or is it going to hurt? Right. So I think those said all of my silverware. Do I just go? Yeah, exactly.
I got hands and my 1 pair of chopsticks. I'm good to go.
And I think that's what you should do in this is asking God, where do I need to simplify? What makes sense for this current situation I'm in? Because that could even change. Going from having kids at home to just you and your spouse, that would change the dynamic. So like this is a fluid moving target. Yes. Right. So I think that's something we should start with. Yeah. As far as practical goes, I did want to read a couple of things. I don't know if you have something ready, but I think we mentioned this.
I don't have anything ready. What are you talking
about? This is great.
I told you this.
But I didn't know if inspiration had struck somewhere.
Yeah, this whole time I've been over here jotting. Sorry.
This is part 2, man. This is the way it should be.
This is where it gets unhinged. This is where I'm on my second bout of caffeine. This is the real show. The first one just gets you in the door.
What are they going to do next?
Part 2. Danger Zone.
I think you mentioned this and showed it, but the book by John Mark Comer, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I think you had mentioned that that book. Yeah. He had a couple of things in here on simplicity when we're talking about possessions, because once again, we got simplicity of heart, which is focusing on Jesus. But when it comes to your possessions and your things, he had a few practical helps and tips, and I thought some of them would be good, just worth mentioning here. And so I thought I would read a couple of those for us.
Let's do it.
So it'll go, and this is, I kind of alluded to this at the end of the first episode, but the before you buy something, ask yourself, what is the true cost of this item? So this is going beyond monetary. This is time as well. So as you look at that thing that you're wanting to purchase, you have to ask yourself, what is the true cost of the item? What is all the implications? So if you are wanting to buy that new bike or that boat, while it'd be awesome, what is the cost?
Right.
Play it all out. And then ask God, is this something that makes sense in order to simplify my life? Is this something that's going to take away from time from you, or is it going to help? Because there may be some people it would help.
Right.
You know, being able to get out on a boat and just decompress and be able to talk with God and
Right.
And for some people it wouldn't. So
Right.
those things you're gonna have to ask yourself. But ask, what is the true cost of this item? One, it probably help monetarily. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of charging it on a card and moving forward, it would help there, but it also with your time as well.
Right.
On that note, he's got in here, live by a budget.
I'm out.
So if it's
This is not a financial show.
it's not.
I'm the last person to ask financial advice from. Take it away, Dustin.
Oh, I'm not too much better.
I mean, take it away, John.
So living by a budget is definitely going to help keep things simple, because if you don't have the money, then you don't need to go buy it, right? So living by a budget is a good one.
Yep.
If you need more spoons, you just have to save up for it. Another one when it comes to possessions, and this is a duh thing, but we all do it, is never impulse buy. So if there's something that you really want, you've got the new Jordans that come out or whatever.
Sure.
Don't impulse buy. Sit on it.
Yep.
I don't know if you've done this before. Sit on it. And 9 times out of 10, that desire fades quickly.
Yeah.
And you forget about it.
You know, my dad taught me this when I was younger. I'd see something, I think I've got to have it, and I have the money for it. It's like my own money. And I'd be at the store, like, I want that thing. And my dad wouldn't let me buy it. He'd be like, oh, no, like, why don't you go home and think about it? And, like, see if that's still what you want. And then, excuse me, and then he did this annoying thing. This really annoying thing. Dad, if you're watching, you did this really annoying thing. I remember this day very well. I know what I wanted to buy. It was my own money. And you looked at me and said, have you prayed about it? What? No. What are you talking about? Why do I have to pray about this? And for the record, it was a computer game.
Oh, okay.
And really high tech at the time. Like it, not anymore, but at the time, it was like this aviation, World War II game. Super cool. It was more like arcade style. You know, we're talking. I'm old, so like, okay, it It looked cool. Okay, I promise it was. Anyway, whatever. It's old now. Anyway, and had the money for it. Wanted to buy it, and my dad he made me wait a certain amount of weeks. It's like, why don't you wait this much time? And then he added in, have you prayed about it? Like, what does it say? Yes, God wants me to buy this. Like, I'm like, I don't. But
He wants this.
it's a legitimate thing. It's a legitimate thing to ask, especially on an impulse buy, especially on a pleasure buy. Okay? Where it's like, hey, this would be like, maybe it's a little bit outside of our budget, or maybe this is a little bit like, especially if it's gonna like a splurging kind of thing. You talk through that, you get advice, you pray, and I think that's good advice. And I know it's actually annoying, so I actually do know saying that is annoying. It's like, but I have the money and I can get that. Yeah, but why don't you just pray about it? It's like, yeah.
That's a as annoying as it is, that's a good way to go about it.
It stops you pretty quick, especially like there's this moment where it's like, as soon as you bring God into the equation, if you don't want to pray about it, that might be part of the answer to your question.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Once again, especially if you're talking about a pleasure buy or an impulse buy, and then you bring God up, and it's like, oh man. Well, maybe that means you should wait on this one.
Put it on the shelf.
Yep. Sit on it.
So that I thought that was good.
It was good.
And then I thought this was good too. When you do buy, opt for fewer, better things. Which was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe not so much the large purchases, but some of the smaller everyday purchases,
Yeah.
we tend to try to, in an effort to save money, we try to go cheaper.
Yep.
And we then spend the time trying to either fix the cheaper things or having to go back out and get some more things.
Yep.
Like this idea of investing in quality, that's something that's going to last for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, buy once and it's done, as opposed to buy the same thing 10 times.
Yes. I'm inconsistent with that. Interestingly enough, I've done better with that with something like items like shoes. In the past, I've always tried to buy a cheap pair of shoes, and you're lucky if they last you through the year before they start falling apart.
Yeah.
But if you spend a little more money, your shoes will last you quite a while. Is an example there. On the flip side, I'm the cheap sock guy. And it's a bad investment, man. Like, you buy that big bag of black socks from Walmart,
Yeah.
and they're going to get holes in them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm really bad about that one.
Well, you definitely got to take care of your feet since you're older. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of older, sorry, you just brought that up. My daughters were looking at baseball cards.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And they said, "Whoa, this one's from 2004. It's 20 years old." Move on, Dustin. Move on.
Yeah.
That one's for free.
Goodness.
Then they found one from 94.
This is ancient. Wipe all the dust off of it.
Did America even exist yet? Sorry.
Did
No
you
one
know
said that.
Ben
I'm kidding.
Franklin?
Anyway, sorry. What's next? What's next? Sorry, I was super sidetracked on that one.
I think the last one I wanted to just touch on was learn to enjoy things without owning them.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So this one hits home for me because I am a book lover and I have to own books. Lots of books. And yet I have 10 libraries. What?
I was covering my books up from the frame.
I've got 10 libraries in this like 5-mile radius that I could go and get pretty much any book I wanted to read and rent.
Yep.
But there's this weird fascination with owning something in order to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That we could look at when it comes to your possessions.
Yep. Absolutely. There's lots of opportunities for that, right? So like if you're talking someone like in a higher tier income, right? And I think I think John McCormick's probably talked about this too. It's like, don't buy the vacation house. Rent a vacation house on your vacation. You're still going to fully enjoy your time on the thing. But think of all the time and money and energy you'll save if you don't own the actual physical. Once again, not that it's wrong for someone to do that. It's just there's an idea there. But then it's simpler, something like a book.
Yeah.
There is, I might even add, like, there's stuff you can try before you buy, right? I think even Amazon has opportunities. Like you can try something out for 7 days. And if it's not what you can send it back. Like, don't be so purchase happy, but more on task here. Libraries, not only can you get the physical books, you can now get digital books from the library too. So like so much access there. Yeah. No, I just echo that. There is something about owning things that we like that there's a factor of that is probably a negative idea, because we don't have to own everything that we enjoy or want to get something from. Don't buy DVDs. Just don't. Sorry, I know you go into the store, there'll be buckets of them everywhere.
Yep.
Listen, they're going out like cassette tapes. You don't want them. If you want to watch a movie or a show, it's just don't buy the physical thing. The space, the time, the money, the resources. Just log into someone else's account and stream it. It's just
saving time and money.
It's a win-win-win. I'm telling you. It's just anyway, but you get the point I'm getting at. There's so many things, right, that we can enjoy and appreciate that you don't have to own. And it does make things simpler.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, those would be some things to share practically when it comes to your possessions. Once again, this is not purely minimalism, but that is an aspect of cleaning up, kind of decluttering and making the space to where you're not so distracted or it's an eat on your time. Make sure that as you're going through this, that we are keeping this simplicity of heart in mind. Is like, okay, should I simplify here? Should I simplify there? What do you think, God? There needs to be this back and forth of checking in with God. And it's a fluid thing of checking in. And this practice is not something you can just set and forget. It is a very, at work we have things that we write down and we call them living documents, but it's something that you just don't put in pen and ink and it's done. It's something that you have to constantly adjust and move around and revise. And all the disciplines are that way. But this one in particular, we can't just, I've got 4 spoons now, I'm good. Right?
Put that on a t-shirt.
All I need is 4 spoons. It's something you're going to have to constantly reevaluate
Yep.
and check in with God and say, okay, maybe I've simplified here, but now that these things have changed, should I simplify here
Right.
as well?
Something that we didn't spend really any time on, Dustin, and I think this probably goes in this category. And tell me if I'm wrong. You're the one who prepared for this. Is like simplicity of our schedule.
Yeah.
That's the same category, right? Which,
I mean, it would fall under the umbrella
yeah.
for sure.
And so that's the idea of, and we hinted at it, I think, in the first video a little bit. But once again, this is per person, and per family. It's unique to you, because what might not be a problem for me might be a problem for you, and what's a problem for you might not be for me. So far,
Right.
so is another part of being simple is not overscheduling your life.
Right.
You don't always have to be on the move doing something. And I'm someone who's saying I live a very busy life. Okay? Our calendar fills up very quickly. So for us, what that means in simplicity is we're not adding to that. We're not making that more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
This day, this is happening. This day, this is happening. These things are locked. These things are protected. And simplicity means, oh, hey, there's this event, and there's this thing, and there's this thing, and we could go to that, and there's this thing. That's nice. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't mean that you can't have breaks in things, and it doesn't mean you can't go try. I'm just saying, in general, simplicity in scheduling would mean that you're not going to every event. Right? And the sports thing, right? There could be different opinions on that, but
Sure.
if you do sports, simplicity with that part of scheduling might mean we're not doing all the sports.
Right.
We're not doing every season of every sport that my kids are talented at. We're not. Maybe that means you're not doing 3 sports at once. Okay, whatever that looks like, right? And once again, there could be different opinions on that. For us, that's what that would mean. Is, yeah, we're going to do sports, but we're not going to do that all at once. Right? Like there's going to be a way we do that to which makes sense in our lives and for our family, in a way for the purpose of not getting our eyes off Jesus.
Right.
Because our life already is busy. So for us, the struggle and the fight with creating simplicity of life flow is trying to keep that as simple as possible to cut down on the distraction. Because if you don't do that, you won't be able to practice any of the disciplines or the practices because you'll be too busy trying to keep up with your schedule and just always on to the very next thing, constantly moving. And that's not healthy either. So I think that'd be a good thing just to point out here as we're coming to a close here is simplicity, besides possessions, besides all the other things, is also simplicity of scheduling and how you plan out your life. Once again, I want to say this with clarity. Some of you are in a season of life where you're more busy than you'd want to be.
Yeah.
And you have to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because of financial situation, because of economy, and it's like, okay, I got to work this extra job. I have to do this thing.
Yeah.
What I would say is, in light of that current rhythm of your life, I'd even argue it even more. Because you have to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Then figure out, with what you're working with, how to keep everything else as simple as possible.
Right.
Don't make that more complicated than it needs to be in light of that. So it's not... does that make sense, Dustin, what I'm saying there? It does. In light of the season that you're in, create a simple schedule.
Yeah. And I would even say, when it comes to fun things, like for instance, friends, you're going to go out and hang out for the night. and that tends to be an event that you add to the calendar
Mm-hmm.
of, we're going to go to this place, we're going to do something out with friends. A way to simplify is to say, hey, dinner is at my house at 5 o'clock. If we want to hang out, you can come join.
Right.
Right. You can like stack things on top
You
of
can
what you're
stack
already
things.
doing.
You don't have to create a whole separate event
Right.
to that. No, that's
Right.
good. That's really good.
So yeah, simplicity of schedule is something to throw in there as well. So I think that was a good point out. I do think we're out of time.
We are
So
out of time.
Didn't know if you had any last minute thing to share, like advertisement for Four Spoons No More or something like that.
Yeah, we have a spin-off of this show coming out.
T-shirt.
A spin-off of the show called I can't think of something clever, something with spoons. And Dustin will be releasing a 4-step plan of how to create a budget and how not to over-purchase spoons. Kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke, people.
It's got a PowerPoint with budget.
Step number 1, eliminate excessive spoons. Anyway, no, this has been good. And I love the lightheartedness of this part too. And I hope that has been a help and encouragement to you. As usual, guys, if this has been a help to you, please put that in the comments below so we can know that this has been a blessing and encouragement. Hope you were able to laugh along with us a little bit as well. If simplicity is new to you, let us know about that. Or if it's something that you've been trying, share with others in the comments how that's been going for you. Or if this has not been that helpful and you have no idea what we're talking about, that means we are making a lousy podcast. So let us know about that in the comments too, so we can learn how to improve the podcast. And for those that have watched all the first one, all the second one, yes, I know the first video had terrible lag in it, especially with Dustin's video, and I'm sorry about that, but I couldn't do anything about it. So, but I do apologize for that, and hopefully we can overcome those things. And that is it for today, I think.
Yeah. Join us next time. Not sure what we're gonna do yet, but
We'll find out when we get there. And maybe I'll be more prepared. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.